over a millennium after King Rajendra Chola's ships left Tamil shores to explore faraway islands, his legacy is once again at the forefront, but this time for a different type of expedition. Now, I, for one, am very apolitical in nature. So I thought to myself, why not discuss instead of entirely politics, other aspects such as the social issues, geography, history, culture associated with the Chola legacy? So let us begin. So here in this picture, you can see the mighty, grand, majestic Brihadeshwara temple situated in Tanjore. Earlier name was Tanjore. Now it is known as Tanjore. And these are the main political players that you will find in the news. You know, this is our honorable Prime Minister. This is the Tamil Nadu's BJP president, Mr. Nayanar Nagendra. This is Mr. M.K. Stalin, the current Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, who belongs to the party DMK, which stands for Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, and you know how famous this personality is. Okay, so one more geography fact that this temple is made up of granite, which is a type of igneous rock. Like we all know, Taj Mahal is made up of marble. Our Red Fort in Delhi is made up of red sandstone. So just a fact. Now, the best way to understand any subject if we try to connect it with a little bit of geography. So let us first try to understand what this geographical or territorial expanse of Chola Empire was all about. So I hope you can recognize by the shape. So this is India, this is Sri Lanka, present day Sri Lanka. This is the island of Sumatra of present day Indonesia. This is, we know, present day Bangladesh, then Myanmar, Thailand, Malay Peninsula consisting of Malaysia, Singapore as the tip. So why I have drawn this structure? Because the extent of the Chola Empire, it basically comprised of this entire region, the southern region, and of course, some portion of Sri Lanka. So, this entire, if I shade this region, so this is the extent of the Chola Empire. But if I go further and try to mark the influence, the region of influence of Chola, so it expanded or extended, spanned over all of this region, the Malay Peninsula, this Sumatra island of Indonesia, because what happened was you can see that the Chola Empire was regarded as a great maritime power. So it possessed great naval prowess. So here it established trade routes to these islands to extend its influence. And this, you know, we have the Malacca Strait, which is a very important trade route in the present times also. So the Chola Empire, we can say, not only existed in the southern part of India, but extended up to Suvarnadweepa. So Dweep means island of gold. So this Suvarnadweep, basically Suvarn is gold, Dweep is island. So this consisted mainly of the Malay Peninsula and the Sumatra island of present day Indonesia. Okay, now some of the important other characteristics that we need to study. The region, because it is just not arbitrarily marked. There need to be always, when a territory is founded, when a kingdom or a dynasty is founded, it needs to have certain favorable climatic factors, certain favorable topographical factors for the establishment of not only the kingdom but its urban populace, urban or rural populace as well. So I'll just try to erase this to give a better picture of what I want to convey. So some of the important rivers where this was based, this Chola Empire was based. So these rivers you should know, basically not just for competitive examinations but for other purposes also. So this is Vegai, River Vegai. This is the Kaveri, the prime river around which the Chola Empire was established. This is Pennar River, spanning present day Andhra Pradesh also. One question was asked in prelims about the Gandikota Canyon. It is situated on this river. Then some of the important cities during that time and even today also. So I'll mark first the points. Okay. So, so this is the famous temple town of Madurai. So it is situated on the banks of Vegai. This is the important port of Machilipatnam, as it was known at that time. This is Tanjore, or now the name has been changed to Thanjavur. So it is again the Bredeshwara temple, the initial slide which I shown. So it is in this. Then the Prime Minister Modi visited this area, Gangai Konda, Cholapuram. Fine. This is Kanchipuram, again a very important city. This is Vengi. I'll explain why this is important. This is Badami in present day Karnataka. This is Kalyani. So what happened was obviously during that we are talking about these centuries, the 11th to the 12th century CE or AD after Christ. So it was during this period that the Chola Empire, it was at the peak of its power. And apart from this, other smaller empires also existed at which Cholas were always at loggerheads or fighting against each other. So you might have heard of Cheras or Kerala Putrs. Then we have Pandyas, nothing to do with Hardik Pandya. Then here, Vengis, we have the Eastern Chalukyas. Then here we have at Badami the kingdom of Western Chalukyas. Okay. Cholas, this was another important city under the control of Cholas in present day Sri Lanka, Anuradhapura. So this was entirely under the control. This is the area of influence. And recently we'll not be discussing this, but this here, there is a very famous temple located in Cambodia by the name of Angkor Wat. So why I'm discussing this? Because Cambodia shares the border with Thailand and there is a dispute, territorial dispute going on. So you can just read about it. Okay, so we have talked about the maritime prowess. Some interesting features again. So now, obviously, we are talking about 11th to 12th century CE. So obviously, this empire didn't come on its own, just appeared out of the blue. So it was the successor of another empire known as the Pallavas. Okay, just interesting fact. This areas, the Pallavas, their kingdom was based out of Kanchipuram. Fine. So it was also an extensive Empire. Some other facts regarding this: they were the pioneers of rock cut architecture. So, some important, famous, majestic examples: the Show Temple at Mahabalipuram, Kailasnath Temple at Kanchi. Okay, so this is so Pallavas, they came, they were in power in this region from around 3rd to 9th century CE. And after that, the main essence or the resurgence of the Chola Empire took from 9th century onwards under King Vijayalaya Chola. And the apex of the Chola power came during this 11th and 12th century under the leadership of first Rajaraja I and then his heir or his offspring Rajendra Chola. Okay, or Rajendra I. Now, again, this temple which I showed you in the first slide, Brihadeshwara temple at Thanjavur, it was established by Rajaraja I, and then afterwards the Gangaikonda Cholapuram temple, it was established by his son Rajendra Chola. And important about this is that Gangaikonda Cholapuram, in essentially Gangaikonda means Cholapuram means the Chola king who conquered the Ganga. So a millennium ago, around 1,000 years ago, Rajendra I took a brave expedition to conquer the regions as far touching the territory through which the Ganga flows. So one known kingdom in Bengal at that time was the Pala kingdom. So this Pala, after conquering this Pala kingdom, he was honored, and in lieu of that, in the effort of that, he created this liquid pillar of victory at Gangaikonda Cholapuram, which is also known as Ganga Jalayam Jayastambam. Okay, so this is what is going on. 1,000 years have passed away. So obviously, politics, you know why Mr. Modi has visited and what is happening. We already have a north-south divide. Okay, let's first, before going into detail in that, and here also you can see that recently here we have above this in north of the Indonesia, we have the Andaman Nicobar Islands, north of the island of Sumatra. So recently, if you remember, Port Blair, the capital of Andaman Nicobar Islands, was renamed as Sri Vijayapuram, again related to Rajendra. And the basic structure of a Chola temple, I'll just mark. So obviously we have various styles of temple architecture in India. The Nagar style, the Vesar style, this corresponds to the Dravidian style of architecture. Some special features are there which distinguish it from other temples. Okay, so some distinguishing features. So this is the main entry gateway, Gopuram. This is the Nandi bull. Nandi bull structure entirely made of a boulder of granite. This is the central shrine, the sanctum or the Garbhagriha. Okay, This is the mandapa or the pillared hall. This entire superstructure is known as the Vimana. This rising steep structure, elevated structure is known as Shikhra. Okay, so these are the basic components, the general alignment or the basic constituents. Apart from this, we have also in the Chola architecture, we have the Mukhya Mandapa, we can subdivide, or the main hall. Then we have the Ardha Mandapa or the pillared hall. Then we have the Antarala or the antechamber. It is also known as vestibule. It's a small room which opens into a larger place. We have the Shikhra and the Vimana. Okay, we have Garbhagriha, the Nandi Bull. Then when we discuss about the Brihadeshwara temple, which was built by whom? Rajaraja I. So we also, initially it also had a gold plated stupi at the top, also known as finial. Then it also there was a copper made kalas. So these are just parts. Just so that if you visit this area, not just for exams, if you visit this area, you know about, you can identify these structures and relate better, not just there to click the photos and upload it on your Instagram reels and all. So these are essential components which you might not see everywhere in every temple. Okay, initially before Rajaraja I, the Cholas they took inspiration for temple building from the Pallava architecture. They were much smaller. They consist of octagonal or square bases. Now here we have elevated bases, these specific parts. So this is the thing. So this you can see the picture of the Nandi bull. This is actually the Gangai Konda, Cholapuram, and this is another famous temple known as Airavateswara Darasuram. Okay. So one again, you can see the basic differences we discussed. In the Brihadeshwara temple, it was the Vimana. The superstructure was very steep. Then as it was also very high, up to 60 meters. 60 meters high, it consists of two massive gopurams or entry gateways of about 3 to 5 stories high. Then, when it came to this Gangaikonda Cholapuram, built by Rajaraja's heir, Mr. Rajendra I or Rajendra Chola, so you can see there are smoother curves and lines and other architectural aspects added to it. The height was little less as compared to the Brihadeswara temple. It was 50 meters high, but the mandapa was an extensive hall consisting of around 150 pillars. Here you can see that in Araita Airavateswara Darasuram temple, there is this Rath Mandapam structure here also, the chariot. So these small things they distinguish. Details also I am not an expert. Whatever I know or I have studied, I'm just recollecting it. Okay. Now some of the features we have already discussed. Okay. So Chola architecture. So we have discussed the various stories, multiple stories. We have discussed about the superstructure, Vimana, Shikhara. Then we have discussed about Gopurams and all. Okay, and we have discussed the differences also. So they had their significances. It was not just architectural nature. It was a combination. Apart from monumentality and magnificence, it had a unique spatial arrangement. It was a representation of a ritualistic landscape. And as the Chola Empire progressed into the reign of Rajendra I, the lines between religion and civic infrastructure or civic population it became blurred. Okay, so we'll discuss spatial arrangement was there. Okay, then the east-west axis. This is also particular of the Chola architecture. The temples are normally aligned They are built along an east-west axis. Then this icons I have pasted just to make it a bit easier for you to remember. So murals and sculptures. Okay. So a lot of them were dedicated to the king. Like the king was referred to as Raja Rajeshwaram, the king of kings. Okay. Then this statue is very important. It is the Tripurantaka statue. It represents Shiva. The Cholas were patrons of Shaivism. So this is the representation of Shiva, a four-armed warrior carrying a bow. Okay, so these deities, even a lot of bronze sculptures, around 66 bronze icons have been discovered at this place. And this Tripurantaka was especially not only dedicated to Shiva, but a lot of images and sculptures, murals, or wall paintings, they were associated, dedicated to the kings, and placed side by side with Tripurantaka, so that not only the deity is protecting the kingdom against its enemies. We have discussed Cheras, Pandyas, the Eastern Chalukyas, Western Chalukyas. Okay, but also the king held its hegemony. The martial aspects, the military prowess, the military nature of the Chola Empire was at full display. Okay, then again, when Prime Minister Modi went, he also praise the ballot system. It existed during that time. So there at that time, like we now have the EVMs, electronic voting machines. So we normally consider this during the British time. The democratic or representative voting process was the result of the Magna Carta. But even before that, the Cholas invented this. Cholas were one of the pioneers of this representative democratic system of elections and governance. So you might have, they were committees like Sabhas and Urs for Brahmins and non-Brahmins. So these were elected. These were not just symbolic. These represented. They had taxation powers. They had control over irrigation, revenue, administration. Okay, so their palm leaves. At that time, the names of the candidates were written on palm leaves. They were then put in a pot, and so this was the inclusive structure, democratic structure. So this is also very important. And one more thing, the temples, like I said, that it was not just religious, not just ritualistic. It also housed and catered to various priests, merchants, sculptors, architects, musicians. So the kings patronized them also. And also even the loan system. The temples also served as sort of a financial intermediary. It served at a particular rate of interest, for example, 12.5 rate of interest according to the currency at that time. Okay. So these are what, and bronze, this represents the bronze icons. Now the basic. So what was the occasion actually which incentivized Mr. Modi to visit Tamil Nadu? So this is there is a festival. Please pardon my spelling mistakes because I am not well versed how to translate Tamil to. I don't know Tamil, but even difficult than that is to translate Tamil into English words. So this is the name of the festival on the occasion of which Prime Minister Modi visited this southern Dravidian state. So Aadi refers to the month, and Thiruvathirai is is the arrangement of the pattern of arrangement of stars and planets, also referred to as nakshatra. Okay, similar to constellations. Okay, so there this folk dance represents the Therukoothu. Okay, so this is a folk dance which illustrates or reenacts the achievements of the king. So very important cultural cultural aspect during this festival. Then new silk robes are also given to the king's statue. And Prime Minister Modi, what he did was he unveiled he of a unveiling of a commemorative commemorative coin marking the 1,000 years or a millennium of Rajendra I's conquest of the Ganga. Okay, by conquering the Pala kingdom. And also, along, he also plans to build a grand statue honoring the king. So, this was what? So, this Gangai Konda Cholapuram, it is located in the Arayalur, Arayalur district in Tamil Nadu. So some facts they are just popping in my mind, so I'm discussing it side by side to make because intentionally I had displayed you the map so that you can relate to things where and what the actual things or the places are located, how they are related. Now, if we begin to discuss, this is a symbol of the Stalin's party, current Chief Minister Tamil Nadu, DMK, Dravida Munitra Kazagam. If you remember, one of the stalwarts who is no more, Mr. Karunanidhi, and similarly, another important powerhouse political party in Tamil Nadu is the AIADMK, the All India Anna Dravida Munitra Kazagam, whose stalwart politician was J. Jayalalitha. So, primarily, these BJP now, we know that the southern states don't prefer to vote for BJP. So, in order to make inroads into that state, it is a very significant state. It holds a lot of symbolic significance, and the southern people, the north south divide, you already know, we are not going to discuss, but rather the important what is going on. So, currently, there is the implication that the central government it wants to impose its linguistic aspects, its traditional this culture and religious aspects on the south. So at one point the comparison I'm trying to give, instead of directly commenting on what BJP is going to do or not, basically what BJP aims is that it is emphasizing on the it wants to emphasize on the pre-Islamic grandeur which was propagated by the Chola Empire. Obviously, religion, Hinduism, Shaivism, and pre Islamic. Why? Because if you see this map, which I drew here, at this time we are talking about 10th, 11th, 12th century. What happened in the north? What was happening in the northern India at that time? It was ravaged, it was intruded by a lot of Central Asian Islamic invaders, Muhammad Ghazni, Muhammad Ghori. So all these kingdoms were in disrepair, they were dilapidated, they were disintegrated. So the only measure or the only aspect which represented Indian unity at that time were these southern empires. So that is why Prime Minister Modi is focusing on that. So it is not only just about temple or religion, it's about the history, the importance in the history during that period. On the other hand, if we consider the DMK, in Tamil Nadu, we have this, or in states like Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, this concept of regionalism or linguistic championism. Of course, the main language is Tamil there. Okay, so this the narrative, how they are going to the narrative they contrast. Then on the account on this 1,000 year, of course, Mr. Modi has went there, so Stalin is also not going to be left behind. So Mr. Stalin has announced 19.6 crores of project of reviving the Gangaikonda Cholapuram tank, because it was not just a pillar of victory. The water that was there, it served a lot of purposes, biodiversity, irrigation. So it fell into disrepair after the decline of the Chola Empire and also the advent of the British which who did not want to pay any attention to these structures. So now the rejuvenation, and also some 21 crores over the building of the y- temples, or sorry, the building of the museum dedicated to the Chola prowess or the Chola dynasty, the Chola legacy. On the other hand, what Mr. Modi is trying to do, again, the maritime prowess, the look east policy, because we know that in the Indian Ocean, in the Malacca Straits, in the Pacific Ocean, China is building a maritime silk route. It is building infrastructure on the coastal portions of a lot of countries like the Hambantota in Sri Lanka. So it needs to be countered also. So by focusing on the maritime prowess, by focusing on the naval supremacy of the Chola Empire, India, in the form of its sovereignty, it's projecting its power at the forefront. Okay, then this connotes the biodiversity. And in some texts, in some literatures, the Chola Empire is also compared to the Byzantine Empire or the Roman Empire. It was so vast, so powerful, so proficient, so technologically advanced as pertains to the trends of that time. Okay, and also Mr. Modi wants to repel or peel off this misapprehension that the Dravid states, especially Tamil Nadu, is being ruled from the north. Okay, you understand what I am trying to say. So instead of that, uh, BJP or Modi in particular, it wants to champion the cause that India, the central government, is taking care, taking into consideration, assimilating all sections of the country, whether north, south, east, or west. So this is basically till now there is definitely an apprehension about linguistic linguistic supremacy of Hindi. So this regionalism, this the BJP wants to counter this mistrust. And at the end, I don't care about where this leads to, whether the political brinksmanship or the jibes or the various arguments and blasphemies that the politicians throw against each other. The important thing is that symbol, all this I have discussed focused on the culture, the diversity, the various examples, not just for the sake of it, but that is much more important, because that is what explains our unity in diversity. Okay, so these small differences, these small conflicts, they don't need to be exaggerated, they need to be done away with. Okay, and finally, just for those who are preparing for competitive examinations, this question in mains was asked: Chola architecture represents a high watermark in the evolution of temple architecture. So you can, I'm not going to discuss the answer in detail. It was asked in 2013. So this question, the significance of this topic, it's in the current affairs. Here in 2013, only the temple architecture was asked. It is an important part of GS paper 1 when it comes to art and culture. But now when we have discussed so much the political connotations, the socio-economic aspect, the political aspect, the historical aspect, the cultural aspect, so the question can revolve around a lot of these themes. So we have the topic of regionalism in paper GS paper 1 also. So you need to prepare accordingly. Although it has been asked in 2013, but a similar question. It may be about Pallavas, it may be about Chalukyas. So these kind of different aspects, application based questions can be asked. This is just a sample prelims question. So this I have although not discussed Manigramam and Ayovol, history of South India. So these are, you can just pause and just note and try to find out the answer. I'm not just going to tell you directly. So I'll just give you a hint. Another fact: there is an Uttar Merur inscription. Okay, so how do we come about that this Chola kingdom actually existed? So we have some of the, in 3rd century BC, before Christ, there were some Ashokan inscription, and in 2nd century CE or AD, we have the Sangam literature. So proofs or evidences from literature of these two inscriptions from various epigraphs, the stone inscriptions, they have given proof of the extinction existence at that time of such a vast, important empire. So this Uttar Merur inscription has these terms written in it. So it is also a small village in Kanchipuram. So just another fact. So with that, I would like to conclude till we meet again next time. Jai Hind.